Hello and welcome to this episode of the Reset Podcast. I'm your host, Thurman Yo. Each episode I bring on a really amazing Black woman because it's part of my 29 Days of Magic series, where every single day I interview an awesome Black woman. And today I am so excited to have Nikeisha Beckford, who is the office lead for VMLY&R Detroit. She has an amazing story. It's going to be a great conversation. Take a listen. Hey, Nikeisha.
Hey, Laura. How are you?
Oh, interviewing people, doing the thing.
Doing the thing, doing the thing.
Doing the thing. So I'm so delighted to have you on the show. First question is always the same. Answer is always hilarious. I feel like yours are going to be amazing. So, Nikeisha, what was your first job?
My first job, babysitting. I was definitely, actually, you know what? I forgot. I was out here hustling these papers early in my days, trying to get that coin because, I had Jamaican parents and they were not trying to give me money for anything. But I'm here trying to I want my little bag of chips, at lunchtime and all of that. So, yes, I was delivering the Observer and Eccentric in Southfield, Michigan, probably 9, 10 years old. Yeah, that was my first job.
God, oh yes, the Jamaican parents making you not do any. If you want
Girl.
something, pay for it yourself.
Yeah.
So wait, how did you go? So wait, you obviously are from Jamaica.
Yes.
You all settled in Michigan where it's cold as brick.
Girl, I literally every winter still look at my parents and be like, what were y'all thinking? Like, how did this happen? But our first stop in the U.S. was in D.C. So my dad is an ophthalmologist and went to medical school in Jamaica, but then came to the States. He was recruited at NIH and went into some specialties in retina and glaucoma and all kinds of cool eye stuff. And so we were there until I was about 10 years old. And then that's when he was recruited by a large integrated health system here in Detroit called Henry Ford Health System. And he's now the chair of eye care services. And so it was really funny because when we came here, it was like, oh, we just gonna be here 3 years for this little fellowship thing. And it was just like, wait, 30 years later, we still hanging out here. So indirectly, Michigan has definitely become my home and I love it, love it. But yeah, my parents get away every chance they can when these brutal Michigan winters kick in.
Good Lord, because I know how cold. I mean, that is a shock from the lovely
Girl.
Caribbean.
It's real. It's real. I was like, ooh, especially this last week we had single digit temps. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. I'm the one that keeps my thermostat at 72, 73 at all times. My friends are like, you want to be warm? Go to Nikeisha's house.
Because you'll be fine there.
Exactly.
I completely understand. All right. So you go from hustling, selling newspapers at 9 to 10 to being the big boss lady that you are now. What has that career journey been like?
Oh my gosh. I'm like, how much time do we have for this podcast?
Not long.
I know. It's been an amazing journey, not, without its ups, its downs, and really a lot of self-discovery. I remember I was watching a podcast or a presentation around sort of Blacks in tech a couple years back, and the moderator was an Aquarian, and I remember him saying something about he was leaning into his full Aquarianness. He might drop an album, next week, very multi-hyphenate. And I feel like, my career has been a little bit of that, just really leaning into what resonates with me, what really has excited me, also too, just where I've been able to excel and really push the boundaries. So I've had a, career on the client side in marketing and advertising. I was a corporate trainer with Brinker International and went around and opened macaroni grills across the country, and then went on, sort of the agency side. And so that's where I've been the last probably about 5-6 years, really doing everything from new business, client engagement, strategy. But where I've always really found I've excelled the most is really leaning into building relationships, truly leading from a place of servant leadership and empathy. And, I really love where I'm at now because I feel like I have the opportunity to really bring together such a diverse group of folks out of our Detroit office and really, sort of push feelings of belonging and inclusion and really drive, some of that progress across the board. So it's been a journey, but I really have, kind of stuck to, just again, that relationship building, really being a servant leader, and just focusing on, inclusion, empathy, and, making sure people feel like they belong.
That's such a really important thing because I think folks don't realize what servant leadership is and what that actually means. And so I'd love for you to give your definition of to what it means.
Yeah, and it's something I think I've like more recently started to kind of just understand. I was having a conversation with a mentor of mine, and he started kind of talking about that as we were looking for a leader for the nonprofit that I helped to bring to life at VMLY&R. And, just as we were looking for the qualities of this person, that was one of the number one, just sort of personality traits we had, is just somebody who, consistently looks at their role as, being in service of their people, the mission, sort of the greater good, and really continuing to put that first, even when things are difficult, because we're going to be, met with these challenges consistently. And, I think servant leaders and people who really lead from that place of empathy and being in service of others are truly those that can help bring people together and again have that inclusive sense of belonging where a variety of solutions and things can just really bubble up and I think just make us better people and a better world. Definitely leaning into my Aquarian humanitarianness with that answer.
So you're an Aquarian. When is your birthday?
Aquarius. Yes.
When is your birthday?
January 26th. It was just a couple weeks ago.
So you are a full-on Aquarian. I'm a Pisces Aquarius plus cusp, as in my birthday is in 9 days. It's 19th.
Yes! Happy almost birthday.
Thank you, and happy post-birthday.
I love me an Aquarian, like through and through. So even
I read both of them, and I take the good from both and none of the bad.
I think I have like my rising, I think, is a Pisces. So I'm also like will drop tears at like the drop of a hat. So like I'm a little bit of a non-traditional Aquarius in that I do have a shred of emotion, but I can also be like cold as ice.
Yeah, I mean, I can be extremely. That's what I take the book. I'm quite empathetic. I'm a bit of an empath in terms of I can read people really quickly, but also I can be an icy bitch.
Ma'am,
and
what did you say to me?
Out of people. Girl. And the thing is, no one knows how old I am, which is always I find hilarious because now I'm at the point people think I'm older than I actually am. I'm like, no, I'm younger than you.
Yeah, you're like, you're cute.
I just scare you because I have a big old title, and I wear it. So
a well-deserved big old title. Listen.
Well, thank you. So I love the idea around servant leadership, but I'm sure you've had those challenges along the way where you're like, what in the actual hell? And how am I ever going to get through that? So I'd love you to share one of those moments where you're like, I'm never going to get through this, and then you actually did.
Oh, I mean, literally as recently as, the annual meeting, that I just hosted on Wednesday. So I don't know when exactly we'll get to air this one, but, basically 2 days ago. And, it's the responsibility usually of the office lead to help orchestrate a local version of our global, sort of all hands, coming together to celebrate our people and our work and our business. And, I really stepped into this already stretched and overwhelmed, but with a deep desire to do this right, especially for the people. We've all gone through a lot in 2022, just, economy, business, all of the things, getting back to, normalcy to some degree. And, having this meeting at the beginning of the year really allows for us to come together, as an office community, a work family, and really, root in where we want to go in the future. And, in Detroit, we're in a very sensitive place. And I just felt very unprepared and, doubtful that I was ready to rise to the occasion. And, I definitely leaned into what I naturally do, which is tapping, sponsors, supporters, people I trust to, just share some of my thoughts and where I wanted to go with the meeting, and, built upon their feedback, and then just trusted myself. I actually have a tattoo I got a couple years ago on my right forearm, and it says, a mantra I try to live by, that's breathe, believe, achieve. And, a lot of times when I find myself, kind of in the place of, that many Black women find them in, and, high achievement, trying to overperform, making sure you're on point at all times. It's a good reminder for me to step back and trust myself and know that, I have a track record of success. I have, good intentions backed by a good approach to the way that I lead and the way that I engage. And, it was rocky. It definitely, had, tech issues, things like that. But we lost power to the coffee bar, like all the things, girl, right? I was like, people need their coffee now. But, one of the most amazing, things was to get the feedback afterward. I got an email from a very senior leader, in HR. And the first thing that she kind of like outlined in her email was the exact intention that I wanted people to walk away from, which is that they felt included, they felt seen, they felt like they belonged, that like this very disparate group that we've now become in terms of all of these communities that, our Detroiters are a part of, like you still all belong here. And the fact that like she knew nothing about like my agenda or what we were going to do, the fact that she walked away feeling that, like, I did shed a few tears. Like I shed a thug tear or two when I read that email. And so, that was like that feeling of like, all right, I am ready for this, and really feeling that success. But the one other piece I want to highlight in there that is, maybe not as clear, is like the value of sponsors, and like, 'cause that's who I leaned into in some of the things, just to like, just to get feedback and just, ensure you're on the right path. And I think especially as you're transitioning from, maybe a doer role, a more kind of middle management into more senior levels of leadership, having those sponsors that can, especially for those of us that haven't been able to be in those rooms and have that experience where we can't tap into that muscle memory, having those sponsors really be able to support and guide and give that feedback, like, is invaluable. So, the trust in myself, is definitely where I lead from, but also tapping into sponsors, I think, is so critical for the success of, BIPOC leaders, especially Black women. And that was long, but
no, you are so right. I think having people who have your back, people who will go to bat for you, is imperative, and people don't realize the importance of that, especially when
yeah.
you're in these roles where folks, you were on the stage, and
Yeah,
so
on a
you need
big one. And I mean, that's the thing, girl. Like when I started, we were probably about an office of like 100, just, 120, 130, and we were just, VMLY&R. And now we're an office of like almost 450, encompassing, our sister agencies, that have become a part of the, VMLY&R family. And we're in a very different place. And so it was a very intentionally curated meeting, and I'm glad and I'm just so proud that the intention and the goal behind that was felt.
I love that, because I think that and that's what folks need.
Yeah.
Empathy and curation are the kind of the two most important things that I think are key to being a really good leader, where it's like you have to put yourself in everyone's shoes and then curate what you build so that people want to rock with you, because
Yeah. Yes,
it's
ma'am. Like, cause I'm like, y'all, like, people don't understand. Like, like all of these agencies have leaders, like senior global CEO leaders. And like, I'm here rolling up like Black girl with a group director title, like, hey, we gonna come together now, y'all, because our people need us to do that. So, there was definitely this like, message one of my sponsors after, because he reached out and was like, how was the meeting, and I was like, it definitely wasn't without its like anxiety inducing pressure, but that, like they say, without pressure you don't get diamonds. And so I really think that it was a real confidence booster for me, Laura. And I'm like just in reflection mode too. So you're getting some of that very raw, but I'm really proud of what we did on
you
Wednesday.
did that, girl. You did that,
Listen.
and I love to see it. Like,
Yeah.
and listen,
But like did it for the people. Like
you did it
that's
for
the
people.
thing. Like that, because again, like for me it's not shit. It doesn't mean anything if it's for me. Like again, the fact that people felt included, they felt like they belonged, they felt like we're going in a good direction, like that's what mattered, like that's what fills my heart.
Love it. Now, obviously, you learned a tremendous amount along the way. What do you think you tell 18-year-old Nikeisha?
Cha. What do I tell 18-year-old Nikeisha? One, that trip to Europe is going to be freaking amazing. And why has it taken you, like, don't take so long to get back there. Like, travel and, prioritize that always. And I think I would also tell her, to tattoo this message on her earlier and always hold it in front of her as, her North Star, believe in yourself. Like, take a deep breath first, because the world is crazy. You're going to get a world of information. Like, we can often get caught in swirl. I know I definitely do. And believe that you've done it, you can do it, you have all the tools, or if you don't have the tools, you have the approach. And then go out and slay, bitch. Go and slay. Like, because you do. Even if it doesn't hit right the first time, you learn, and then you bring that to the next meeting, the next interaction, the next whatever it is. So that's what I would tell her. Like, travel the world, meet as many people as you can, and definitely, lean into your mantra.
And eat all the food wherever you go.
Go eat all of the food, especially the Jamaican food. We mean.
That would be a supper. So, yeah. So you have to. Like, oh my God. Oh my gosh. So, 'cause it's important. It really is important. Like savor it all, enjoy all the
Yes,
moments, and like,
yes,
and you
yeah,
never lose. You always learn. There's always a lesson that comes out of that. Even if you're like, oh my God, I cannot believe that happened. Well,
yeah.
okay, never gonna do that again.
Right,
Or
right, right.
I'll go with my gut next time. Or like, all
Yes,
right, I'll just do it my damn self next time. Like,
ma'am,
so,
ma'am. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's. I love that question. Yeah, because now I'm really one of the other hats that I wear is being the, kind of chair of the board for the Detroit Experience Studio, which
oh, talk about that. I love this.
yes,
People
which
need to
was
hear
an
more about this. Yes.
amazing, amazing opportunity. I joke all the time that like I was essentially voluntold for my third week at the company. And it's like when HR is like, the CEO thinks you'd be good at this. I'm just like, okay. But you know what I say? He was right, leaning into that mantra, like I took a breath. I'm like, I don't know what y'all asking me to do, but we gonna figure it out, and we achieved it because, on my birthday on January 26th, we graduated successfully, the 18 kids that started in our program, in October. And like, just addressing them with, like I gave them like a commencement speech. Like it was thinking, it's like talking to a little bit of my like 18-year-old self. And, I just am so proud and just like encouraged about how much as an industry, an agency, and just as individuals we poured into these kids. And, and I just am like, even on the days when it's hard and I want to look, side eye at some, things I hear and see, I'm just continually grateful that I work at a company that recognizes the importance of this commitment, investing in it, and making sure that they put the right voices and leadership in front and to ensure that it's done the right way. Because I think there's a lot around, especially in 2020, everybody had their DE&I initiatives and hiring their Black person and their DE&I lead. And, a lot of that has kind of fallen to the wayside as the challenges of business and, getting back to, things has kind of implemented more and more. And, just being able to continually rely on or know that we can rely on our company to continually invest and prioritize this commitment is a really good feeling because to stand in front of kids, of need and promise things and have worry that you can't fulfill those promises, like I have said, y'all, you put the wrong one in charge because I will not let you do that. It's like, so when I say, they were like, you'll be perfect for this, Nikeisha. And it's like, you're right, because I'm going to ensure you stay true to your commitment. And I'm just really proud that I haven't had to put my foot on anybody's neck too hard yet. So yeah, it's been an amazing experience. We continue to grow. Our second cohort starts in the beginning of March. We encourage everyone to just learn more about us at DetroitExperienceStudio.com. Sign up, be a volunteer. We're really based in Detroit now, but we're continuing to look at ways to expand what we do, bring in, spotlight speakers. We have a very big client in our backyard, so we know we get a lot of visitors often. So if any of our, agency folks are in the Detroit area, reach out because we'd love to be able to have you come in, meet with the kids so they can see it and be it. That's part of our mantra that we kind of talk about is representation matters, and the unique journeys of how people got into their roles. Really helps the kids see that there's opportunity out there for them, and that just because they're interested in numbers doesn't mean they can't have a job in marketing and advertising. So I'm super passionate about it. It has been truly the love I didn't know that I needed in my life, and just Yeah, it makes me super proud, and like I can't talk much more about it or I will start to cry. So on that note.
I feel like I'm gonna have to come to Detroit and come say hi.
Yes, you do. Like, I'm serious, Laura. Like, we are really, I'm working with Walt as well too to try to get him to come out, like just again from like a senior level, like Black creatives. I've been talking with Kalita a lot, like who helps lead, experience design and on the Coke business, with you, out of our Atlanta office, like, so please, 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 especially the things you do around experiential is so native to these kids. We're actually trying to talk about maybe a Coke project being the focus for cohort 2. So Carhartt was the client that stepped up to be a client sponsor for cohort 1, and it was amazing. And so yeah, like please, 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 we will roll out the red carpet for you, ma'am.
Okay. If you were coming with the red carpet, then I guess I have to say yes.
Good.
Then I know I'm welcome. These are the things that matter. But yeah, I'll figure something out and try and come. I'll try and come out this summer. 'Cause
Lovely,
I want
lovely.
to. So you do all this amazing work. You're this amazing servant leader. You're you're teaching the babies. What do you do for your self-care?
Ma'am, right? Number one, I'm in therapy. I feel like
Excellent.
that's super important. Like I've been in therapy on and off over the years, but definitely in 2020, prioritized that, just I think adjusting and dealing, being a Black woman. And I think especially for me being older in, my career and on the spectrum of things, like I was also embracing my Blackness, I think, for the first time really in 2020. So I was also just processing a lot. So number one, for self-care is therapy, because my therapist is always asking me, what are you doing for self-care, Nikeisha? And I'm like, not enough. And so at the tail end of last year, beginning of this year, when like life was really trying to beat me down, I was really diligent about trying to carve out those things. So I get, put myself on a routine of regular massages, just, spending time with myself. What else have I been doing? Like I try to schedule like afternoons alone. So one of the other hats I wear is I'm a mom, a single one at that. And so, that can definitely be, a lot of responsibility to shoulder. And so, at least like once a month, I like to be like, okay, grandparents, take the kids, sleep over, just so I can have some time. I'm a very extroverted person, and so I love people, but I do find that I need that moment to be able to like empty my brain and like just start to like process my thoughts. I would say I think in sticky notes and keynote. And like when I don't have enough time to like empty my brain into like one of those two spaces, it gets overwhelming. So that's been one of those things too I've learned about myself recently that contributes to my self-care. So I'd say those are probably the biggest things, but just always, finding these moments to really be like, what does Nikeisha need in order to be her best for all of, herself, but then all those around.
I love that. What will be the best for you? It's the
Yeah.
most important part about self-care.
Oh, girl, what I forget? And traveling, girl, and being on a beach as often as I can be. That
Well,
is
because
awesome.
you live in winter Arctic
Ma'am,
winter, so I
right?
understand.
Like, yes.
Understood. Now, last question for you. Do you have a give and or an ask of the audience? So this could be a piece of advice, a book to read, a thing you like people to do for themselves, anything you want.
Ooh, well, yes, probably. Can I ask you a question?
Not really.
What I know you're
No.
like, girl, you answering a question with a question. What would you say is like, maybe like the predominant of your audience? Because I think I would ask different things knowing who.
This is a unique batch because I got a lot of different people who've never listened to the podcast before.
Yeah, because it's
So we're gonna
new.
try not
Yeah,
to
like
get
an
to mindset.
interesting content.
So, because it's different content. I mean, generally the audience is people who are in business, marketing,
Yeah,
entrepreneurship.
yeah. But I
But
also
we
know
have,
you're a senior leader, and so I know you also have a senior crowd who's probably hanging on your, sort of every thought leadership word. And so I think that's who I would direct some of this to, is genuinely take a step back and think about if you're putting your people first. Because now more than ever, that is so critical. And it doesn't matter if you are a global CEO or if you're the manager of one, or if you're just the manager of a project of people who don't even report to you. I just encourage everyone to take a moment in these, next week, next month, and truly ask yourself if you're putting people at the center of what you do.
I love that. I absolutely love that. And it's so necessary. I love this. I mean, Nikeisha, we're clearly going to have to spend a lot more time together.
Yes, yes.
Now that now that we have officially met.
Yeah, I'm so excited.
Because like we can talk forever.
Girl,
But
like I said, the amount of connection, like the Jamaican-ness, like just all, the
yes, darling.
Aquarian-ness, like all of it, all of it. The
How
black
it
girl
takes.
magic-ness, like I'm so here for this. So yes,
um,
I'll be in your DMs real
you will
soon.
be in
Don't
my DM.
worry.
I know. But thank you so much for being part of 29 Days of Magic. You're going to be inspiring so many wonderful people. We're going to put all the details about the Tour Experience Studio in the show notes so folks can find out more about it. You are a phenomenal leader, and I'm so
Thank
glad we
you.
got a chance to share this story with you on 29 Days of Magic. Thank you for being part of the show.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
And that is our show.